Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another MSP Success webinar. My name is Mark Sheehan, and I've been a long-term Technology Marketing Toolkit client and now a Technology Marketing Toolkit and Big Red Media consultant. I have got a great lineup of people here for you today, great speakers, all cybersecurity experts. So they're going to talk to you all about cybersecurity. And the first person that I'm going to introduce is Franz Trisnadi, who is the CEO and founder of his MSP company, Intelisys. He's been a long-term Technology Marketing Toolkit member, Accelerators Club member for, I think we've known each other 4 or 5 years now, Franz, at least 4 or 5 years. Just a little secret that not many people know about. Franz's MSP cybersecurity company goes up against Robert Herjavec's company every now and again. Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, and about a year or 18 months ago, you went up against him in a deal and you beat it. I know you didn't win the deal. In fact, I don't think the deal actually came to a conclusion, but you were shortlisted and he was thrown out with his company. So we've got a cybersecurity expert here who knows everything about it. And Franz is also going to talk about his new company, which is a channel-only company for MSPs, CyberX. So Franz, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited to be here. And thanks again for making time. If you guys are like other MSPs that I've spoken with in the past, I'm confident that you're going to get 1 or 2 nuggets out of here by the end, at least. So I'm going to go ahead and I prepared some, I wouldn't call them really slides. It's more just talking points outline. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk primarily from my experience being a MSP owner and my journey. And I'm sure most of you guys can relate to that. I'm looking off to the side because I have 5 monitors and I'm going to share my screen here shortly. So here we go. Let's see if you guys can see that yet. All right. All right, everybody can see my screen now?
Yes, we do.
Yes, thank you guys. Thanks, Mark. Okay, so just a couple pointers of what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to introduce some of our guest speakers who's going to speak along the side with me. I'm going to just give you a brief background of who I am, some of the sales and marketing system that I've implemented through various strategies, including TMT and Robin. From Robin Strategies, some digital marketing that we started doing on our own, why, how, and when I started to turn my company around is when I started to lead with security. This is an interesting observation that I'm going to share with you guys, being able to do one-call closes and talk about what's relevant and urgent versus just getting quotes and getting dragged along for months and getting ghosted at the end. I'm going to talk a lot about thought leadership. It's very important in today's age, in today's digital world. And I like to consider myself as a giver, so I'm going to give as much information as I can, and I'm going to highly encourage you guys as well to give as much as you can to each other and to the community. There's going to be an interesting slide about the birds and bees, platform of choice in terms of security. Leave you guys with some sales tips for MSPs. That's where Jennifer Bleem's going to come in later. And security offering. Give you guys some tips on what's been working for me as an MSP on pricing and packages. And hopefully that will save you guys some time and money as well from having to create your own stack. All right. So just a little bit about our speakers today. We have Roy, who's going to talk about the platform. What we use, and Jennifer is going to talk more about specifically selling security into your existing base and how to win more business leading with security. All right. You guys have probably heard them too. Roy's pretty active in channel. Same thing with Jennifer. Jennifer's been around the community as well. Very experienced in sales and marketing. Who am I? I'm like most of you guys. I'm an MSP owner and had some good years and some not so good years. Always trying to figure things out and making things better. I've been married for over 17 years. Very blessed and grateful to my wife Jenny, and we have two boys, 9 and 12. And I started my own. I started my first business in 2003, and it's not in IT or managed services. It was actually in property development. We acquired land and built apartments, and we also acquired underperforming apartments and repositioned them and to turn them around to performing assets. Just to let you know, I don't have a finance background. I don't have a real estate background. I have a business management and marketing background, but I learned a lot and I figured it out, and I hired good people to help me grow that business. And then in 2010, I started Intelisys. I started Intelisys actually to be a hosted voice over IP company. And during 2009, 2010, it was still arguably bleeding edge. Some of you guys might remember. And broadband isn't what it is today. So I would wake up to tickets and calls with angry customers about drop calls. It's not a good business to have when every other day you wake up to that. So I figured out I need to add more services to my company or get out. So in 2013, I acquired an IT company, and not knowing anything about IT, but I figured, you know what, it sounds like a great business. And that actually went down quite a bit because the company that I acquired was more of a break fix company. I read a book called The Pumpkin Plan and Profit First, and I got rid of about 89 of my customers and kept 2. So, and then I met Robin and TMT and got involved around 2014 and tried to figure out how do I grow my business as a MSP, or even try to figure out what the heck is an MSP. And just like my real estate company, I'm not, just like not knowing finance or real estate, I don't know anything about VoIP or IT or MSP. And I had to figure it out and grew the company and really hired people who were smarter than me. I would say I plateaued around 2016. I didn't really find a natural fit and passion for the IT business. And it wasn't as bad as voice over IP. I wasn't getting angry calls every other day, but it was a thankless job. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that, being other MSP owners. If you don't, if things don't break, they don't see all the good work that you're doing to maintain the network and keep things up and running. But when things do break, they think that you're not doing your job right. So around 2016, 17, then I pivoted to security, and I really have a passion for security, and I have a natural knack for it, pretty much similar to property investment. Have a very natural knack to security. So I repositioned the company to all of our content, all of our service offerings to security in 2018. We increased our MRR. We almost 3x'd it in about 275%. And that we had a couple of milestones there. We were targeting mid-sized company with IT departments, and we were assisting them and targeting them, helping them with security. We didn't want to do the help desk and IT support. So we got some good opportunities there, and that's what Mark mentioned. We were up against some notable companies. IBM was one of them several times, and also Robert Herjavec's company. One of the deals we actually made it to the final round, and we were it. And our primary contact there was the general counsel and the CFO, and somehow they had a reshuffling. Long story short, the CEO got reassigned to somewhere else in South America, and the general counsel got laid off or fired, not sure. And so they never end up doing anything, but that was an awesome deal because we did get to the final round, and they told us that we were it. In 2019, we almost tripled our MRR again, solely marketing on security. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that worked for me. and hopefully you guys can take a few things or two out of it. So sales and marketing system, if you guys are a part of TMT, you guys have a wealth of resources through the dashboard. And I am an accelerator member. Mark was my mentor for a little bit. I've always had some sort of an inside outside sales approach where I had we call them SDRs, a sales development rep, telemarketer who set appointments. And I'm typically the closer, the outside sales. So they would set appointments and either do a live transfer to me, and I would try to qualify them there, or they would call and schedule what we call an Are We a Fit call. It's a quick 15-minute call to see if we're a good fit before I schedule an hour discovery call or go on site. We did a lot of the traditional marketings. We did some direct mail. We did the Ask From campaign. We did the sitting duck. We did the bad date letter. And those worked relatively well. You got to be consistent. There's really no magic bullet. You've got to have a good strategy, and you got to be consistent in what you do. I joined some associations. One turned into a pretty nice strategic alliance. I met there's an organization called Healthcare Underwriters. It's a national association. I met a few of the local chapter chairmen here in California, and they were really intrigued with how cybersecurity can help healthcare professionals. So they took me under their wings, and they got me approved with the California State Department of Insurance to be a CE speaker. So in their profession, depending on who you are, I think you have to have anywhere between 12 to 24 CE credits a year. So by taking a cybersecurity class with me for an hour, you would have been able to earn 1 CE credit. So that helped build a lot of credibility. We got some decent leads from there as well. And I highlight and bold digital marketing because we've always done digital marketing, and it's always outpaced everything else that we've done, and more so in the last 2 years. So I'm going to talk more about digital marketing and give you guys some tips, and hopefully you guys can implement that as well internally and grow your business. Some of the digital marketing systems that we implement led to a lot of one-call close. So who's done that? It's been a while for many of us, but in the last 2 years, it's been more and more common. And I'll tell you how, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so most of the digital marketing that we do is SEO. We don't do a lot of SEM. We don't do a lot of paid search until recently, until COVID hit. Then we went to more of a shotgun approach. But most of our results came from SEO. We rank on the first page of Google search. Sometimes you'll see us at least once. Sometimes you'll see us up to 4 times on the first page. And you know, there's only 10 listings and we own 4 of it. I'm pretty sure we're going to get that call. We do lead with cybersecurity, so we don't optimize for IT support or managed services or IT services. So the cybersecurity keywords and cybersecurity calls is the one what resulted and led us to a lot of one-call closes. What relevant and urgent? I'm going to talk a little bit about the buyer behavior in a little bit more detail in another slide. And here's the difference between IT support, okay? So when we get a call for IT support, it's typically one of 3 things. Either, hey, our IT guy is slacking off, he's not as responsive, can you give us a quote, right? Another one is, hey, we like our IT guy, we've been with them for a while, and I just think that we're being gouged, right? I just think that we can get a better deal, so can you give us a quote, okay? And then the third type of calls that we get is usually, hey, our IT guy is retiring or leaving, and there's going to be a void in that position, and we need somebody to come in for that. So when that happens, then you've got to have a well-defined sales process, which Robin talks a lot about, and there's a lot of good resources in the dashboard. So I'm not going to talk more about sales process because we use what's in the dashboard. Going through discovery meetings, proposals, and you got to know what the buyer wants and what they're looking for, right? But what happens here is typically my closing ratio, whenever we get a lead for IT support, is in the teens. I would say low teens, depending on the quarter. I mean, we're talking about like 13, 14%, really low. Many times the sales process goes on for 3 to 6 months. And after 6 months, they just ghost you. And it's, as you know, that's not a very good feeling. Versus with cybersecurity, I'll talk a little bit more in detail about my experience with that. So leading with security, okay. So we optimize for cybersecurity, we optimize for IT security, and we optimize for ransomware. And this is just an example of one of our paid ads that we recently put together. But most of our leads came from SEO. This is just because during COVID, as you know, things are a little bit different right now. So this is what I found to be really helpful and understanding why we were getting the leads that we were getting. So listening to the calls that I receive for cybersecurity, and I ask them what keywords they search and listen to the call and their concerns. Typically, they have a pain right now. They're under some sort of ransomware attack. Okay, in a ransomware attack, they need a doctor, right? It's like, hey, I'm having a heart attack. I need 911. I need a doctor. So it's very relevant. What you offer needs to be relevant, and it's very urgent. And typically they will make a quick decision. They're not going to let it go on for 4 to 5 months and then ghost you. So that's what we found works really well, is they have that pain right now. And when they call, couple scenarios. So they're either in an incident. Okay. So what happens is we can offer incident response. Okay. What they'll do is if they have if they're in the middle of an incident, typically we can't help them. And I don't know about you guys, but if you can help them, great. In most of the cases, we can't. So we try to stay in touch with them, give them some resources, because we tell them, hey, don't pay the ransom, and if you have a good backup, we can help you with that. And typically they'll have an MSP involved, and they say, no, our MSP is restoring from a backup right now. Bam, that's typically where our sales process would start. And as soon as they say that, then it opens up the opportunity for us to talk more about an incident response. And what that looks like is we have a certain incident response plan where, as their MSP starts restoring from their backups and clean the machines, then we'll go ahead and start installing our agents, and we'll start monitoring each machine as they bring it back up. So that's part of our incident response process. Is we'll work with the local MSP as they restore from a backup. Another type of incident response is if they are 2 or 3 days into it and their MSP is still working on restoring from their backups, and it's taking time, whether maybe because they don't have an image of it on premise and they have to download it from the cloud, or they might, who knows what they might be using. But we've been a part of deals where it's taking them days to restore, and then they'll call us. They'll actually call us around the second, third, or fourth day. And by this time, what I've learned is they've actually done their homework. So they actually will Google cybersecurity companies near me, for example, and they'll find us. And when I ask them, so why did you choose us? They do what I call it a credibility check. Okay, so they'll look online, they'll look up Intellisys, they'll look up my name, and they'll figure out, okay, well, who is this guy? Our MSP is not doing their job. We obviously trusted them, but in their words, we thought our MSP had our back. And so we're not going to do this. We're not going to fall for this twice. We're going to do our due diligence. So they do a credibility check, okay, online. And in the digital age, I hope you have a good, strong presence. If you don't, I encourage you to start today. Write a book, okay? That would help. Get some. Our Yelp listing isn't so strong. I know some of our other competitors that we give referrals to, that when we get smaller deals, we give them to some of these competitors in our area that have a really strong Yelp presence. We're on Yelp, but it's not a strong presence. We do have good online reviews on Google, so that helps a lot. LinkedIn as well, shooting to be that thought leader in LinkedIn. Making sure that you write relevant blogs, not just not just blogs that are optimized with keywords for you to rank. Put yourself again as a buyer. If you're looking for a car or whatever it is that you're looking for, if you're going to search for that keyword and you get to a page that ranked really high and everything on there it sounds like it was written by a bot, you're going to bounce, right? You're going to be on there for 3, 4, 5 seconds. You're going to bounce from that page. So you don't want that to happen. You got to make sure that you have a good balance of writing blogs for keywords, but also making it relevant and interesting for the reader and positioning yourself as a thought leader. Okay. Repurposing those blogs. I do that quite a bit. I write the blogs and then I repurpose them, create video blogs out of it, and put those on several platforms. I'm not going to go too much into my digital marketing best practices, but the main thing here really is thought leadership. Okay, so position yourself as a thought leader. When somebody does a Google search and you're not Robert Herjavec, you're not IBM, they're going to search who you are. They're going to figure out, okay, well, who is this person? Do they know what they're talking about? So make sure you have good, relevant content. Establish yourself as a thought leader. Okay. So I mentioned about content. That's what makes it relevant, is having good content. Have something that's written, video, and audio. And audio would be like a podcast. Distribution, make sure you have it on your website. This is really cool. Do a guest post. Okay. If you do a guest post, that's a natural backlink. If some of you guys have dabbled into SEO, you want to do backlinking, which is a strategy that still works. But if you're backlinking with somewhat low authority sites, it's not gonna help you as much as if you did a guest post on Fortune or Forbes or CNBC. Okay. What I found out also is what commands the highest rating is a .edu. So if you can guest post for a university or school with the .edu, you're gonna get shot up on page 1 very fast. Another distribution platform is get on TV, get on radio, get on publications. Publications could be written publications, could be magazines, and then the other one are directories. Okay, there's search directories, but this is kind of like guest posting. You want to get into more relevant and stronger directories. All right. And just like traditional marketing, just like any other marketing or just like anything in life really, is you just got to be consistent. Okay, you got to focus on that. It's your frequency and being consistent. And many of you guys know Gary Vee. You've heard him say many times, just document instead of create. So it's definitely harder to do, easier to say. I struggle with that myself, but I have a lot of head trash that I got to go through, and eventually I'll produce maybe 3 or 4 videos in one day, and then I go back in my cave for another week. So that's one way that I keep my consistency and frequency, is I knock out several blogs or several videos in one sitting. Okay. So this again, give, and give. Okay, I'm going to refer to Gary Vee again. He had a book out, or he has a book out. I think it was called Jab, Jab, Hook, which just means give, and then call to action. So in today's world, I feel like you should be jab, 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 and then hook, which means give as much content, give as much relevant content as much as possible. And again, I'm not a technical guy. I come more from a business management and marketing background. So call to action is really, really important. But in today's digital age, I've observed, and through the last several months, I've seen that the more you give, people are naturally just going to gravitate towards you. They're going to know what you do. So having that jab at the end of each video, I try not to do that anymore, because by the time they've watched 3 or 4 videos, 5 videos, they know who you are. So you don't need to say at the end of each video, hey, if you're looking for a good, IT support company, give us a call. I mean, it's your choice, but that's what I've adopted, and that's what's been working for me. And that's one tip that I would leave you with, is give as much good information as you can to your followers and prospects. All right. So this is all great. Okay. So, but how about my current clients? Okay. So most everything that I've talked about so far is new business, right? It's how I got my new business. So with current clients, yes, it is going to be a little bit tricky. And one of the things that you've got to do is what one of my good friends talked about a few years ago. He said, have the birds and the bees talk. Okay. And that's just really having that uncomfortable talk with your existing customers about security. Okay. And this is the consensus of the feedback that I get when I get these calls, frantic prospects calling me because they've got hit, they got hit with ransomware, or they got hit with some other incident, is we thought our MSP had us covered. Very, very common. Okay. And as of about 3 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, I can say now 100% of the leads that we got in there for security, now 100% of them has retained us and asked us and have us doing help desk and IT support. And I say about 2.5 months ago, because there's still one other customer that we had that still had an MSP and us as the MSSP. Yeah. I don't want that for you guys. I don't know many of you guys, and you guys are not direct competitors. North America, US, we're such a big market. So I have more of an abundance mentality. And as a peer, I highly, strongly encourage you to have that talk with your customers, and don't be that MSP that gets fired because of an incident. Okay. Just again, from my experience, 100% of those MSPs ended up getting fired. Just to share with you as well, I'm going to talk a bit more about my security stack later, but once we're in, you can't compete with us. We give away our help desk. Okay. So once we're in with security and they want a quote from us for help desk, it'll be like $20 per seat. And you can't compete with $20 per seat. And the reason is because I don't want another MSP to be in there. I don't want anyone else to be in there. And I don't want anyone else to be recommending something else in there. So we want to own the account. So once we've earned that business and we've earned their trust, we get them tied down, secured down, and within a few months, they say, you know what, we're thinking about changing MSPs. Is that something you can do? And most of the time we say, well, yeah, it is something that we can do. Or many times they come to us and they're like, well, I'm sure you can do IT support, right? And you go, yeah, I mean, it's not our core business, but we could. So you figure you go to your cardiologist to get not a CAT scan, what do you call it? The EKG, right? I'm sure they can do your physical too. So that's the way they assume us, even though in my own experience, my belief, it's two different businesses. IT support and maintenance is all about keeping their computers up and running. As you know that, security, it's a whole different game. Another thing to remember is you want to do this to minimize your liability. Okay, so without really getting into too much detail, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing when there is a breach, and if you are the MSP, think about it. Put yourself in a general contractor's position, or in a CPA's position, whatever your customer's industry is. Put yourself in their position. They don't know anything about IT. They think IT, they think security, they think all that's all the same. And to them, they think that you have them covered. So if you haven't had that talk with them, that, you know what, we do a great job of maintaining your computers, and we excel in uptime. But however, the security landscape has changed, and we need to talk about how we need to get you up to speed with security. You need to have that conversation with them. Okay, security is not help desk. It's not support. It's not maintenance. It's a whole different game. This is what I did with a few of our. You know your business better than I do. Okay, so this is just from my experience. I don't do long-term contracts anymore, and you can argue all day. So I'm not gonna argue with you about that. You do what works for you. For me, month-to-month agreement works, and I didn't actually intend to use it to my advantage, but this is from my real estate days, was when I had tenants who wanted to go in for month to month, I actually use that as an advantage, because when we got into an apartment that was underperforming, and once we got everything up to really excellent living standards, then there's no reason for us to be able to increase that rent by 15, 20, 30%, because we're on month to month. So, and if they're not willing to pay for a better housing, then there were other tenants that would pay for that. So I took that same concept and I used it for my MSP agreement. And many of them, what happens is if they're month to month, and I look at it where I could afford to lose that business, and we have a fixed fee, right? So some of you guys who has a fixed fee like I do, let's say you're charging them whatever, $100 per seat. Okay, and that's your agreement. And I'm not an attorney, so you talk to your attorney. You got to read your agreement. Your agreement is probably different than mine, but this is what I did. So in the agreement, it's month to month. So what I did was I just gave them a 60-day notice. I said, hey, we have a flat fee, and we're here to cover everything, all things IT, and that includes security. So we have company-wide included security in our all-you-can-eat package now. However, that's going to bump our price from 100 to 145 now. So, well, yes, I did get several people complaining, and they think that's outrageous. And I said, that's okay. We have a month-to-month agreement, so you can cancel if you want. It's okay. Nobody canceled. Okay, nobody canceled. The one who gave us the hardest time. There's 20. We're in October, so 21 months later, they're still with us. And he was complaining because we almost tripled his prices. Yes, he was under market, but then we added security, and that I used that as well to get him up to market as well. So month to month, it works great for us. And we can raise their prices at any time is how I look at it from my side, and not from a gouging perspective again, but to be able to have that flexibility to be able to provide excellent service to them. Okay, so that's what's worked for me. Now you've got to come to reality here, and many of you guys already know this, and some of you may not, but hackers will get into your SMB clients. There's that saying, right? It's not a matter of if, but when. So when hackers will get into your SMB clients, what are they going to do? Okay, how prepared will you be? And most importantly is who has your back? Okay, are you relying on a vendor? Are you relying on an internal SOC? Are you relying on your IT guys, like your staff? Who has your back? Think about that one. Okay, so yes, there's no protection that can't be breached. Okay, what makes the difference is identifying and response. And now with different platforms, there's automated remediation, which is amazing. We have this thing in our SOC called alert fatigue, which if you run your own SOC, I mean, you want to root out any type of false positives, but also false negatives, and you get alert fatigue. So the real difference is being able to have a solid and experienced staff to be able to identify and respond alongside an automated platform that's top of the industry. Okay, so a little bit about our own SOC. So just to let you know, I really feel like my MSP business and my MSSP business are totally different. On the MSP side, I went with an all outsource approach. We outsource our help desk. I'm not interested in hiring L1, L2, L3 techs. Having a help desk in-house to me is just, it's not a part of the business that I was interested in. However, with security, again, I think because I have a more of a natural affinity and knack for it, and I have a natural passion for it, it was very easy for me to understand and research and hire people who are smarter than me and keep up in the conversation of how to build a SOC. Okay, so our SOC is staffed with some of the most experienced security professionals along with the necessary certifications. Okay, so I'm not really big into certifications, but I know some of you are. So we have certified threat intelligence analysts, we have ethical hackers, we have incident handlers, and it's all manned by a CISSP. All right. So just a quick, some of you guys might know Producer Club member Mario. Mario, I can't even say his last name. He mentioned, he said, CyberX has really helped us to take our cybersecurity offerings to the next level, having a SOC do the heavy lifting in the background and being able to have automated and customized remediation are huge time savers, and the product is exceptional. I feel sorry for the hackers now, but not really. He's got a good sense of humor. So that's from one of our partners, Producer Club member, like I said. So what is the platform that our security professionals choose? What did they end up choosing? So when I interviewed a lot of people, and all of them were smarter than me, and but some of them were able to articulate the pros and cons of various tools that they've used from their, at that time, then their current employer. And when we looked at Cynet, I won't get too much into it because Roy is really the expert on that. So I like to surround myself with experts, people who are smarter than me. So he's going to talk a lot more about why we chose Cynet and how Cynet works for MSPs. It's very comprehensive. Okay, I'm going to break this down as well towards the end, what our security stack used to look like and what it looks like now. It was highly preferred by our own internal SOC team. Cynet does have their own SOC team as well. They're super sharp, great group of guys, and it is highly recommended. When you look at large enterprises who go with Cynet, CrowdStrike, Carbon Black, they will have their own internal SOC team, and they have their own, and they rely on an external SOC team, the vendor SOC. Okay, it's just best practices to be able to do that. You want to be able to reduce your alert fatigue, have the least amount of false positives and false negatives, which we found work really well with Cynet. Their forensic analysis is really great to root out false negatives. The deception technology is amazing to be able to set up honeypots. I mean, this is just spectacular. So I'm going to turn it over to Roy, and he's going to talk a little bit about the platform that we chose for our internal SOC team to what they rely heavily on. Okay, and how we work together with their SOC. All right. So Roy, let me turn this over to you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Fran. If you can stop sharing. Thank you for that. And again, thank you everyone for joining. I'm Roy from Cynet. As Franz was saying, basically, we're established mainly to address some of the main pain points that we're seeing on our partners at MSPs, MSSP service providers, and especially, I believe that you're seeing it on your client's end. And the main pain points that we're here to address, and we established Cynet, starting with the need to reduce cyber operational efforts. Not only the efforts that you maintain and operate a couple of security solutions as part of the stack or the services you provide to your clients, but mainly, Franz mentioned false positive. So there's great EDR, next-gen AVs, or XDR vendors in the industry, amazing ones. We know every one of them. But what we're hearing from many partners today, huge amount of false positive due to the lack of AI and UABA capabilities that really identify and enable you a less false positive, better detection rate, but really understanding the type of the attack and how it operates. A very simple example that I believe most of you know is a PowerShell. PowerShell can be a good or a bad. How do we define that? It's like getting back to the first grade, you know, who, what, when, where, and how it operates in the network. So those capabilities really defines. A second pain point that we're seeing is the need for multiple cybersecurity solutions. My personal opinion, this is the main differentiator and the main needs that MSPs are having today. Basically, they provide a couple of solutions that natively don't sync, correlate, or talk to each other. And when they do not, that provides a huge lack of visibility in real time across the network, identifying if there's any existence or executable hiding waiting to be exploited in the future. How exactly, and this is very important, did the security threat bypass my existing client's posture? And to define that. And of course, correlating all of them together. Some attacks today and the attackers, the bad guys, are getting more and more sophisticated each day. And of course, a full coverage need. So great vendors over there are great solutions, but when you combine a couple of solutions needed, you really have a full coverage of a full user, files, host, and network pillars. This is very important, but the main reason for that is looking at attacks today. Attackers never stop on a file or on a host or something. There's always a movement, an attempt to a movement. They expand, they're sophisticated, they want to reach more presence on the client's network. Highly critical being and covering all four pillars when you see a flow of an attack. Many of them expand to methods such as lateral movement, DNS tunneling, reconnaissance port scanning, many more methods that you know. What we created is an XDR. XDR is a new buzzword in the industry. We're doing so even nearly 5.5 years. Basically, it's an extended EDR. The main differentiator from EDR components, and there's great vendors there, is that it has SIM and SOAR capabilities. All features, capabilities, sync, correlate, talk to each other. So the SIM is really correlating and identifying, but to identify or a threat on the network, it's good, but you need to remediate. And this needs to be automated. Today, ransoms operate very fast, even advanced malwares. The system needs a very fast response, fully automated as well, not only manual one. We're seeing many partners today, and that is one of the strengths that we had combining with CyberX together is a need for continuous alerts and monitoring. SOC services, MDR services, some providers do provide that, some MSPs have it, and we empower them today as well, working, for example, with the CyberX team. So 24/7 eyes on the glass, as mentioned before, the bad guys operate 4 a.m. in the morning, not only business hours, co-managed SOC, and an internal and external SOC as well. So the combination together with Cynet and CyberX is a huge differentiator, a huge power. You do have the men and personnel. Its threats are and types of attack are by hourly, minutely changing and advancing. So you really need a strong team that really knows, updated on everything, and can assist and remediate for you or guide you as well. And of course, don't need to say, I believe all of you are here, especially through the pandemic, feeling the need to reduce cybersecurity budgets as well. And of course, to support a lot of environments, which is very important. Today, our clients are not only on-prem, they can be on a SaaS, Vpure private cloud, or they're going to Azure, AWS, 365, and many more. And some of them combine a couple of environments together. So we really need fully multi-tenancy, must be a cost-effective, must be MSP-centric, and for partners, having the ability on a single dashboard to review all the alerts in real time, operate, remediate, reports, forensics, actions manually and automatically through all those architectures is highly important. CyberX and us together created a fully multi-tenancy to support service providers and MSPs that enables that with a true separation down to the data, providing not only the ability for you as a fully managed service, but even you can enable environment access and even some privileges right through CyberX to your clients as well on that multi-tenancy platform. So we talked about an XDR, new buzzword in the industry. What are we bringing to the table today? Consolidated platform that is on the prevention detection capabilities containing a next-gen AV, part of VirusTotal as well, easy replacement for every AV engine, EDR and UBA, which is our strongest engines that we're highly recognized. Don't know if some of you heard about us or even looked at CyberX website. Highly proud of the recent Gartner defining us #1 of the top EDR, and Software Tester defining us #1 of the top 10 EDR and XDR vendors in the industry. So this is something we're highly proud of. Network traffic analytics, one of the differentiators and strengths. Today, we talked about network attacks. You don't only need to define it, but you do need to have on your solution network remediation capabilities, not only files, hosts, and users. Franz mentions the deception, one of the uniqueness, the honeypots. We see today an average of 50% catching through honeypots, not only all the rest of the engines, ransomware's attacks as well. Response and automation. Not all MSPs and service providers has the personnel or have the expertise for all types of various of attack. System need to be fully automated, but do enable you manual configuration, going autopilot, semi-pilot as well, and even tailor-made and create your custom playbooks with us and CyberX that can do it for you. And they're highly expertise on that. You can tailor-made it and create a playbook or remediation action according to a client's need in less than a minute of activity. And an incident engine. This is something that Signet in version 4 months ago launched. It's part of this last slide that France showed. This is a game changer in the industry. We're the only one doing so, the autonomous responder. Basically fully automated on a respawn on each attack, and time to resolution is presented. Everything is very clear there, so you can really trust on a fully automated platform that can operate. And I touched base on the MDR, we talked about it. So Signet and CyberX are providing you, service providers today, a designed, dedicated offering. We talked about the multi-tenancy, but I believe you already got a picture of a different service, a consolidated platform containing our UEBA, network traffic analytics, deception, MDR, next-gen AV, EPP, and EDR. But the magic is not only the SIM and SOAR capabilities, they all correlate together and active on all 4 pillars: file, user, host, and network pillars, meaning a full coverage for the entire network of your clients. Another thing, we're a single flat license offering with CyberX. Single license, no add-ons, everything is included. And of course, MSSPs provide extra security depth and expertise staying in your background. This is the power that CyberX provides as part of the services with our consolidated platform. Lately, we're hearing a lot about reducement of management and delivery costs. This is mainly due to the ability to replace multiple solutions, and of course, the benefits of the internal and external SOC services, account management support with dedicated partner success managers, and of course, multiple agent deployment methods that are fully supported. It can be MSI, GPO, RMM tools, ConnectWise, CCSM, our own dispatcher, and many more. Feel free to reach out to France to get more details. But in addition to that, what we focused on, not only the automation and simplicity, is really supporting various sub-operation systems and a very slim and light agent. Our agent is between 10 to 12 megabyte. If that's first injected to the memory, in parallel downloaded to the disk. By the way, the reason for that is pure security. If you're looking at 90% of modern attacks, they're aiming and addressing memory. So by us being both on memory and parallel to disk will enable us to reduce the attack surface and increase IT hygiene as well. Very light on performance, between 1 to 1.4 CPU usage, and a limited up to 5% CPU usage on a correlation or event. Compare it to all other vendors in the industry, you'll see that we're by far similar light on that aspect. And of course, operation system supported can be even from XP Service Pack 2 and above or Windows 2003. I call them the dinosaurs in the industry. We do see them still on some retail manufacturers and many more environments and above. And of course, Linux and Unix, all 6 flavors are fully supported, and the latest 5.6 macOS environments as well. So in a single agent, all operation systems are supported. And as mentioned before, we have big, small clients, a huge investment, #1 EDR based on average rate by Gartner and software security testers, growing our business over 320% year-to-year growth in the United States market. We just had an increasement of investment through the pandemic and creating an investment in another round for an Israeli cybersecurity startup through the pandemic is something that is highly remarkable, goes without saying. Over to you, France.
Thanks, Roy. Thank you so much. That's a lot. That's now imagine you guys having to do this for sit in these type of demos for 12, 14 different categories, and in each category you've got to meet with 2 or 3 vendors. It's very time consuming. I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly here. So just a couple things from our partner, Nick Stanger from DataServe. Your team's great. Keep up the good work. Eric Williams, who's also he's an accelerator member. He's part of Accelerator member in TMT. we're excited to have the additional security experts looking at our alerts. Okay, it's been a huge help for us. All right, I'm gonna go a little bit faster here. So this is the minimum security offering that we use and that I would recommend for you guys. We don't do this anymore because we do what I'm going to show in the next slide, which is everything. Okay, so you can use this as a checklist. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different disciplines here to look out for when talking to your customers, having that birds and the bees talk with them. You want to talk to them about the next gen AV, threat hunting, user behavior analysis. When you get to larger companies, they're going to understand, they're going to know what user behavior analysis is. The more upstream you go, that's a very hot need right now in the mid-market. Okay. Vendor one, so next generation AV, that would be like a Webroot or like a Sophos. Many of them has evolved and gotten into EDR, but typically this is what our stack used to look like. We used to have Sophos, and then we had Sentinel-1, for example, as our EDR and doing automated remediation, and then we had Event Tracker for our SIM. So that's 3 vendors already that we we interviewed maybe 6 or 7 vendors just to get to those 3, and then there's more, right? And then with threat hunting, you've got companies like SolarWinds now, Huntress, Alien Vault, and then for the deception technology and managed incident response, there's Huntress that could do that. Rapid7 does that. But again, like Rapid7, they're enterprise solutions. I mean, you're gonna spend $5,500 a month on these type of solutions minimum. And with CyberX, we can do all this for you. Okay, so the cost is not necessarily what I'm paying. I don't want to breach any kind of NDA, but this is pretty much stuff that you can Google what most people would be paying for. So if you've got Webroot or Sophos, you might be in the $1.50 to $2.50 range. You can say about $2. And then so basically you stack up all those vendors, you'd be at about $22.50. Okay, so this is when we went from say 100 to 149 per user because we tacked that on. Okay. There's something else that I wanted to mention as well is in some cases when we were already over $100 per seat in the 125, 145 per seat or even higher, we would include this. And the reason is I'd rather have my margins grow from 65% down to 55%. I'd rather have 55% off of a $4,000 MRR client than 100% of nothing when a breach happens and they fire me. So again, you do what works for you. But in my case, if I was making decent money, I don't mind taking a few percentages off to make sure that I get to keep the account. Okay, so we did that in a few cases. So some of the upsell that you could do is you upsell this for anywhere from $39 to $89. In 2018, our very first client had like 80, I don't know, 83, 84, 85 seats, and we charged them $69 per seat, and they didn't blink. They thought that was a good deal. They had 2 guys in-house, and they evaluated what we could do, and they loved us. Those 2 guys are no longer there. We're doing IT support for them now. That in that case, there was no breach, and they didn't get fired. The 2 guys just voluntarily left. Okay, so this is what we would recommend. Okay, is adding on email protection, MFA, dark web monitoring. So email protection, you've got companies like Proofpoint, MFA. You got like Duo and Jump Cloud. Dark web monitoring, you've got Breach Secure Now or PII Protect and ID Agent. That can also do the security awareness training and policies. So if you add that on, it's going to be a little more closer to maybe $30 per seat. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I'm going to turn it over for a couple minutes to Jennifer here. Jennifer, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks, Franz. I appreciate it. So just in a minute or two, I want to explain how you go about selling cybersecurity to your existing client base as well as new prospects. It's really a very simple 3-step process. First of all, you need to reveal that there is a gap And what you really want to do rather than telling them that there's a gap is walk them through discovery questions that allow them to discover for themselves that there actually is a gap there. And that's what's going to allow you to move them from point A to point B. Now, point two is the most important, and that is helping them to feel the gap. There's a lot of buzz in the marketplace right now about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and how we don't want to be a fear monger. But that second point where you are helping the prospect to feel the gap, or the client who has not yet bought your cybersecurity, they need to feel that there is a business reason, a business implication why they should move from point A to point B. And that business reason is not the same business reason that you partner with CyberX. So you have to evaluate CyberX from a cybersecurity standpoint and from the technology and from understanding where they need to stand security-wise. But then to help them move, it is not about the bits and bytes and the speeds and feeds. It is very much about helping them to internalize the risk to them if they stay where they are now. And then that's where point three comes in, which we all love, which is healing that gap, right? That's the close. But your job as a salesperson is not to demonstrate how your product is superior, how your service is superior, although it certainly needs to be a very solid option in order for you to be ethical and sleep at night. But your job is to help the prospect feel that you are the best provider to move them from point A to point B. Now, obviously, that's a maybe 3-minute synopsis of a fairly complex sales process, but it really is those 3 steps: revealing the gap, helping them to feel what the implications are to their company if they don't heal the gap, which is the close. So there's a lot more we can say about that, but Franz, that's a good recap. I know you happen to follow that as well yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, feeling is huge. When I write my blogs, I Google, if you guys want to Google this, type in feeling words, and there's a whole list of feeling words in there, and you want to identify what a breach would feel like, or what email security feels like. Okay, so just to talk about our offer and how we can help. So you have a choice, right? You can build your own help desk or outsource it, like what I did. I outsourced it. Or in this case, we're talking about security. So you can build your own SOC, or you could buy it. Okay. So this is our. You can thank Robin for this, because she really pushed on giving you guys exclusive a special offer. So for the first month with us, it would be $25 for 25 licenses. It's kind of like a kick the tires promo, which allows you to get on board and try us out. After the first 30 days, it'll be $250 per month. But here's the cool thing is, if you get in right now, each additional license is going to be $750 per license for the life of your account, which includes everything that you saw today. We don't nickel and dime you. It includes everything. Includes our co-managed SOC, and includes all the features on the Sign It platform. So that is a one-time only special. We are working our way up by next year to get that to closer to a $1250 range. All right. So if you guys want to sign up, that's the landing page right there. CyberX, cyber, it's with a 3, not an E, -x.com /TMT10-21. All right. So if you guys do sign up as well, there is a one-time special as well. If you get in today, we will be including a membership into Jennifer's monthly program, which includes micro trainings, monthly deep dives, and quarterly trainings on how to sell security. Okay, and that's really important for you guys to move more into a security focused MSP. All right. So again, that's cyberx.com /TMT 10-21. Is there some questions here? Let's go check. Ruben, let me see. Mark, did you want to read the question there? I'm trying to click around here. Actually, I don't know how many questions.
Yeah, I was trying to get a link posted because I mistyped yours as well, but Will's taking care of that. So Ruben's asking, when trying to offer these new cybersecurity services to existing clients, what have you found to be the best way to let them know that this type of advanced cybersecurity is not part of their current service plan? And of course, they're going to say, why haven't we been offered this before?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So as a MSP provider, it's a whole different game. MSPs, we focus on help desk, we focus on maintenance, we focus on proactive maintenance and uptime, right? And even we touch on security. And what's different is things like AI. Okay, AI is huge. Hackers are using AI to expedite and create more sophisticated schemes. Those type of things were not around 10 years ago. So yeah, 10 years ago, being an MSP and having WebRoot or Sophos, it was enough. But the whole security landscape has changed. We're not, it's not the same as it was. I say 10 years ago, some people say it's not even the same 3 years ago. So that's one thing that you want to let them know is we are talking about it. We're talking about it right now. And these are the changes that are happening. So that's one big tip. And what Jennifer talked about is you want to walk them through that path as well, is getting them to understand what's been changing and what the gap is. Okay.
May I add something, Franz, to this?
Sure.
That's a great point. But what I wanted to share, we as a vendor saw through the pandemic more than 24 new types and vectors of attack, mainly trying to reach people that are now working remotely, trying to exploit them, accessing through remote access. It's a day-to-day, it's a never-ending story. And this is exactly what you need to tell to your clients, in my opinion. It never ends. We always advance. Every vendor is trying to advance, because when we build up a solution that blocks all the modern attacks, the attacker next day, tomorrow, a month from now, will find a way to bypass that. And then we will need to adjust and basically block them on that approach. It will never end. So I think if you're trusted for your clients, they need to trust you that you will always push them, advance them, update them, be on point, be relevant to what is currently now addressing the market, the main threat. And that is, I think, kudos or a good point for you, that you always need to maintain them and keep them updated and improve. What was good a year ago or through the pandemic, I must say, saw solutions that are working good on email types of attacks on February, March, weren't relevant on June, July. That is how the system works.
Yeah, thanks, Roy. Yeah, we covered a lot today. There is just one more thing that I wanted to share about the agent being lightweight and what my story on why I started CyberX, because we were more of a security focused MSP. We actually did fall into a couple breaches while we were under the watch of what we were using at that time, Sophos and SentinelOne. We had both. We had Sophos, SentinelOne, and Event Tracker. And the three of them just they did not see the dormant rootkits. They didn't have a SOC analyst who was able to find the false negatives, and we got hit pretty hard. And that's what got me started and got me started looking for my own security analyst to find out guys who can be more proactive and root out these type of false negatives and work with a vendor SOC. So that's one thing I want to leave you guys. Is there any other questions, Mark?
No, there's no more questions. I just want to remind everybody, I have posted the link into the chat there. So there's a clickable link for people to go on to. First month is $25. You get 25 licenses, $1 a license. Any additional licenses are at the $7.50 per license for the life of your account. And then it's going to be $250 a month after the first 30 days. And the offer expires on the 23rd of this month. So get in there quickly and, take advantage of this. I've got another one. I've got two coming in. So one from Daryl Cresswell. Daryl and I were just chatting in there. When you refer to SentinelOne, were you using just the software or did you use a SOC plus Sentinel pairing, like the old Carver Continuum, etc.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing from my experience. I'm not pointing any fingers here. So what happened in our experience, we were using legacy Carver and now Continuum soft for that. So I actually happened to use the restroom at about 2:30 in the morning, and for whatever reason, I decided to check the phone at that time, and I saw these alerts, but they were already too late. They were already in, and we had several servers that got hit, and by that time they were behind the 8-ball playing whack-a-mole, and I just got in and I said, you know what, just shut everything down. So yeah, we're using Event Tracker and Sentinel-1 through Continuum, and we also had Sophos as well for our next gen AV, and we even had Cyberhawk as well. None of that caught it.
Okay, and then the second one is from Kerry Brown. Kerry is going to the roadshow. He's one of our panelists on the roadshow for all of these ones. And Kerry's asking, is there a recording available? I would like some folks to review this right away. So I'll answer the first part of this, which is there will be a recording available. We are recording this, give it a while to process with Zoom, etc. And we'll get you that recording, access to the recording. But secondly, I'm going to re-emphasize, you've got the first month at $25. It's a month-to-month commitment. I mean, $25 to try it out. I wouldn't wait for the recording. Go to the link and sign up.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. Thanks, Mark. Daryl, one other thing about that is that it is a really good question, and something that I'll caution everybody is if you are looking at Signet or any other solution out there, and they have their own vendor provided SOC, it's a great tool. It's great. And they'll do a great job, but it's not going to be 99 or 100%. I mean, they'll get most, they'll help you out most of the time. But again, with the amount and the prevalent of hackers out there, you need to either have your own guys who know what they're doing, or you need to partner with somebody like CyberX who has hired people who's very well seasoned and knows how to threat hunt, knows how to run forensics, and be really proactive, and not just wait for alerts, and not just sit back and wait for the platform to rely and rely solely on the platform. Okay. All right, Mark.
Okay. Else? I don't see anyone else. Daryl, you've got the email anyway, so you can do that. And I will thank everybody, and especially Franz, Roy, and Jennifer. Thank you again for coming up. It was a great webinar, great information in here, great offer. I mean, I really can't stress you can't afford not to take them up on that offer at $25 for the first month on a month-to-month commitment. So sign you up. Get the link is still in the chat. You should see it in the chat, and we will see everybody on the next webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mark.
Fran.
Yeah.
Thank you,
thanks,
everyone.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks,
Stay
guys.
safe.
Take care.
Have a great day. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.